We're going to read a chapter of the Bible, a short chapter, Luke 15, and talk a little bit. I'm going to share some thoughts with you about it. That's all. I'm not a Bible teacher for you. I'm not like in charge of your Christianity or your development. I'm not here to guide you in any way or evangelize to you. I don't give a shit. Maybe that's bad of me. I think Jesus told me to do something else. But yeah, so in the meanwhile, something I've been wanting to do for a bit is just read the Bible. And like ignore your pastor sort of like garbage that comes out of pastors' mouth. Not all pastors. Right? Hashtag not all pastors. You ignore whatever their method or not method, whatever their message that they're wanting to draw out or conclude for you, ignore that for a minute. Let's just read it. And this is something I used to do when I would teach Sunday school to high schoolers. It was very simple. Like, let's just read. Let's just read. Because people don't just read the Bible. They get snippets of it fed to them in church. Like, here's the thing, and we're gonna learn you about something. And today, the reason I picked Luke 15 is because we talked about it in church today, and it's such a better sermon series that was going on at a different church that I was attending, which was venerating the shit out of David, which is embarrassing because David is a garbage human by pretty much any objective account. And all the Jews are like, God damn it! Or wait, they're like. Yahweh, damn it, Jehovah, damn it, or whatever. Like they're really mad about it. He can't do that. He can't do that to us. Raise his interest rates. Oh, God. Anyways, David's kind of like a piece of shit, and everybody talks about him like he's this great dude. Seems to miss the point, in my opinion. Here we go. Do you practice it? No, I perfected it. I don't need to practice anymore. Do you? Do you? Sitting in judgment? It's embarrassing, man. Here we go. Luke 15. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear him. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Jesus told them this parable. Okay, so here's where I want to take a quick pause. My pastor pointed this out today. Irony. And he says, Jesus is talking to the Pharisees and the scribes here. Like, that's the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. He's like, hey, they're the ones muttering. They're the ones complaining. Oh, by the way, if you're asking if it's okay to have threesomes, I don't know, just ask David. Or Solomon. Or Abraham. Or Isaac. Or Joseph. Look, I'm not saying anything, but if you want your biblical references for polygamy, dude, it's not that hard to find. It's only all of it. I don't necessarily think that has anything to do with it, but like if you want to go find it, I'm sure you can proof text your way into polygamy. So the funny thing is, Vandam's retarded, and he's going to be like, ha, see, he's advocating polygamy, which I'm not. Not at all. But it's funny because the Bible kind of like does it all throughout the Old Testament. And the New Testament doesn't ever do away with it. We've interpreted it that way, and maybe that's the right way. I don't know. I never really thought about it. You clearly have. What are you wishing you had? So Jesus is talking to the Pharisees and the scribes. Here we go. Jesus told them this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Then he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep." Probably kills one and eats it too. That's even funnier. I tell you that in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. All right, let's get some basic bitch interpretation here. Basic bitch interpretation is Jesus sitting around. He says any lost sheep returning is more valuable than 99 who never needed to return because they never left, right? And this is good. He's speaking to the scribes and the Pharisees. And the scribes and the Pharisees are obviously sitting there going, well, we're the 99. We're good. We are good. We're good. And the one who gets away, like that guy, Vandam, you know all about this. That guy, oh, that guy's wandering off right there. They're the ones who need to be brought back. We're the 99. We're good. We're the flock, right? Man, flock walking around. And this is a basic interpretation. It's really an easy parable to understand. The scribes and the Pharisees get it. They do. They do. This isn't actually the parable's meaning, in my opinion, but that's the basic interpretation. Let's go on. Parable of the lost coin. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins. The man must have given it to her. And loses one. Does she not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And my pastor today, he's like, what was on that floor? It must have been like a shiny coin that you can't find, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it would have been dirt floors, homie. They didn't have hardwood back then. And this coin would have gotten dingy and dirty immediately, shuffled up in some dust. It would not, probably wasn't a polished silver coin anyways. Drachmas would have been, again, they would have been tarnished if they're handled at all. These things are going to dull very quickly. Silver tarnishes. Doesn't stay pretty unless you keep it pretty. So I would think it'd actually be pretty easy to lose. Falls on a gray, dusty floor. Any dust gets kicked around, it's going to get covered up. So she has to go and sweep through. She sweeps and finds this coin, right? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, I found my lost coin. In the same way, I tell you, there's rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Now, very similar story, very similar message here. The one returning is better than the ones who had stayed, rejoicing-wise. And this is true, right? If you lose $20 and you reach in your jacket pocket the next winter and you're like, holy shit, $20. You're really happy about it. Not super, it's not the greatest day of your life, but you're disproportionately happy for finding $20. Hell yeah, right? It's a good thing. We understand this concept pretty simply. But notice what Jesus has done. He's taken it from 100 down to 10. He's shrunk the parable's effective range now. And it's less of a wandering off this time. It's not a wandering off. To me, this is a tarnishing. This is a tarnishing of the reputation, a dulling of the shine, right? The first one, the sheep wanders off. It sees something in the distance, and the shepherd has to go get it. This one, the woman has the coins. She drops one. It's tarnished. It's dull. It's hard to find. And then she spends time finding it, and she does. But this is a big deal. The translation of this, it's a drachma, which is a day's wages or whatever, in the time. And so this is 10 days. This is a fortnight's worth of pay. So this is a big amount of money. This is a tenth of probably her, people keep an emergency fund, 2 weeks pay or whatever sitting around. This is that. This is what she's losing a big chunk of. So this is an important number for her. The one sheep out of 100 is a lot. 100 sheep would have been again, at the time in the sort of shepherd community, that is the wealth of the family. Whatever material goods they have for sort of nomadic existence, tents and cooking equipment and shit like that. The 100 sheep that's what's going to be sustaining them. They're going to be selling the wool. They're going to be selling the sheep, the livestock. They're going to have breeding stock. All of that's the totality of their wealth. So losing 1% of your wealth and finding it back is pretty big. For the woman, losing 10% of your savings, of your emergency backup funds, or your operating expenses or whatever, this is big stuff. Now, most of the time, the message stops here. Then you get your basic understanding. Well, the one that's lost is really important, blah, blah, blah. And I guarantee you they do this. I guarantee you the judgmental assholes, even in the chat here, are thinking the same thing. Well, I'm the 99, I'm the 9 coins, or whatever. You aren't, though. And that's the real message. This is why Jesus spoke in parables a lot of times, is because you're always the one. You're always the special one. That's God telling you you're retarded. Like you're the little downsy that wandered off from the rest of the sheep, or you're the coin that fell into the cracks, like between the couches. And I hate to break that to you, but you're always the one. The Pharisees were always the one as well. They never saw it. I link this up to the times where Jesus tells his disciples, he's like, you guys are blessed because you understand. When I talk, you understand what I mean, but others don't. They don't understand what I'm saying, and they won't. You're going to keep talking. You're going to keep trying. They're not going to get it. He's talking about the Pharisees and the scribes is because their own haughtiness and pride. It prevents them from getting the simplicity of the message. Now, if you want to get really into it, let's get out of theology and into some biblicism. I don't know if you know this about the Pharisees, but the Pharisees were actually a group of rabbis. Some people think of them as almost like a sect of rabbis with a set of concrete beliefs or like a train of thought, like a discipleship. It's kind of like that. But the real big thing about the Pharisees is they were away from the temple, which is why Jesus is running into them all the time. Jesus is possibly a Pharisee, like of the caste of rabbis. He's possibly a Pharisee. They were itinerant. They went around. They were not at the temple. They were out preaching in the rural communities. The Jews would go back to temple once a year and they do their sacrifices and shit. But rabbis, like the rabbinical class, would largely stay at the temples, the Sadducees and whatever the other fuckers were. But the Pharisees, they would actually go out away from the temple. And that's why, again, Jesus is speaking away from the temple and the Pharisees keep showing up. Well, that's where they are. So the whole thing is, Pharisees get shit on a lot, but think about who Jesus is talking to here in just a literal sense. They're the ones who left. They leave the temple. The flock, the 99, they're actually there at the temple. The Pharisee goes off and he goes out as a rabbi and he's preaching. And this is where I think the prodigal son story, which follows, becomes more and more interesting as you realize that Jesus is not talking to the crowd here. He's not talking to his disciples. He's talking to the scribes and the Pharisees. He's responding to their grumbling. Because suddenly, they're not getting it. They're not the 99. They're not the 9 coins. They're not the flock. They're away. You're away from the temple. You're squandering. You're tarnished. You're lost. You're lost. Here you are, I'm bringing you back. But they're mad, remember, that Jesus is with sinners. He's eating with sinners. How dare he? So next, this goes straight into the prodigal son. So Jesus continued. This one's a little bit longer, forgive me. That's what he said. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of the country who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. Very, very fucking degrading for a Jew to be feeding pigs. It's the Pharisees that are judging you. Yeah, the Pharisees, yes. I'm okay with being judged by them too. Let's see. Feed the pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. So you're looking at pea pods, probably soybean pods, little legumes, all mixed up with some other garbage, and probably dead pig meat and all sorts of gross shit. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired men have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men. So he got up and went to his father. Now this one's a little different, right? This one, they're coming back. They're going back to the father, whereas the shepherd has to go get the sheep. The woman has to find the coin. The son's going back. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. Filled with compassion for him, he ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. Okay? The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Poor calf's like, oh, damn. Let's have a feast and celebrate, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He's lost and is found, so they began to celebrate. We're going to pause there for a second. This is pretty interesting because, again, this is not the shepherd going out and finding the sheep. This is not the woman locating the coin on the dusty floor. This is the son coming back. And we've also narrowed, we've gone from 100 to 10 to 2. 2 sons. One who stayed and the one who left. And this is a big deal. He's asking for his inheritance. He's saying, I'm not waiting for you to die. I want my money now. I want to go party, live it up. Cool dude, right? He goes and runs off and he's awesome. But then his awesome life runs out because he squanders it all. And he has to come back in shame. What's interesting here is this story is the one story where you're not the one. You're the two. You're both brothers in this story. You're both the brother who leaves and squanders things. You're also the brother who stays and is bitter and resentful. And we're going to get to him in a minute. But this one comes back. This one comes back to the father on his own. He says, I'm suffering and look, I'm coming back humbled. Let me be humble. And the father's like, of course not. Like, you're back. This is great. This is cause for celebration. You're dead, now you're alive to me. And this is Jesus' invitation to the Pharisees. I mean, again, going with the imagery that we know, they left the temple. They left God. The reason the temple is because God was there in the fucking tabernacle. Like, God was present in the temple. It's where he lived and hung out. So what I was saying was that God was literally present. So if we go with the literal thing and remembering that the Jews there understand this, the Pharisees take what God has given them. They take it and they go away and they squander it on becoming local celebrity, on becoming the keepers of the word, the scribes, the writers of the law in Jewish culture being paramount enough, they make a pilgrimage to the temple every year to make their appropriate sacrifices and fulfill the law. Live and die by the law. Jesus is talking right to them. He never stops. I mean, it literally says Jesus continued. But he's talking to the scribes and the Pharisees. He's not talking to everybody around. Now, everybody can draw from the prodigal son, of course. Everybody can do that. But he's telling the scribes and the Pharisees, it's you guys are out here. You left God. He's back there. You can go back. You go back to him. He'll welcome you back in. You'll be back. But you're disconnected. You're walking away and you're making it about you. It's kind of an interesting twist for me on the story. I never thought about it this way. Okay. Back to the story. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants to ask him what was going on. The servant says, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I can celebrate with my friends. That's gross, if you think about it in the wrong way. But when this son of yours who squandered your property, son of yours, right? Not his brother, son of yours who squandered your property, with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. And the father says, my son, you're always with me and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And of course, the Pharisees see themselves as the faithful son who stayed, even though missing the fact they're bitter little bitches. They're sitting there whining about like, oh, he's out with prostitutes and he's doing bad stuff. He drank a wine cooler. That would have been the one thing the father would never forgive him. Like, whoa. No fuzzy navels, buddy. You're out of here. That's gay. But this book, this chapter of Luke is interesting because it's never framed to me as talking to the Pharisees and scribes. Never. It's always framed as talking to like you and me, the regular people who are out. Jesus is out there preaching to a crowd like always, but it's not. I mean, he's there talking to the priestly class. He's saying, it's you guys. You guys are the one wandering away. You guys are the lost coin. You had this thing of value and you're gone. And then finally, you wandered off. And if you come back, God's still there. Father's still there waiting for you. It's joyous. But look at what he says. He's like, it's when you repent, everybody rejoices. When you repent, you repent. To the Pharisees, to the scribes, to the haughty ones. And man, haughtiness is something that is so pervasive in American Christianity. Lady Law, does this end with Nick being the prodigal son? Oh no, I'm not walking back. Lady Law, what are you talking about? No, that's the thing. We're all the one. Everybody in every story is the one, except for the last story where you're the two. You're both, really. You're both and. You're both the son that walks away and you're the son that faithfully stays, but is bitter and embittered by the actions of the father. Because of course we are. Of course we are. When we watch people who don't get justice one way or another, we scream and rage at the injustice of it. No, I did this and this and this. Why does this guy get the good thing? Or why didn't they get the bad thing? We're all that same person. But we're also the person who takes the blessings that we have and we go and we fuck it up. We all fuck it up. And if you think you're not fucking it up, you're probably fucking it up way harder than the people around you. And that's the message in all of them. Jesus is speaking to the people who think they're not fucking up. And he's giving them direct imagery. You are. You're the ones who left. You left the temple. You fell out of the hands of the woman. You walked away from your father. You asked him for your wealth in advance. And then you left. But you can always come back. It's a message of hope, obviously. But one thing I never have seen anyone talk about is that all three of these parables, first of all, it's rapid fire. There's nothing between them. There's no transition. There's no change of audience. It's just to the Pharisees and scribes. That's who he's talking to. But they never hear it. They never hear it. And if you guys go to your church and listen to them, they're all there. They're all there. They're all sitting there waiting. They're the ones who whisper and judge. And they never hear it for themselves either. They'll say it. But in their heads, they're always the 99 sheep who stayed by the shepherd, right? They're never the curious one who walked away. But yeah, look, I'm not here to, I'm always hesitant to talk Bible because these are just my thoughts on it. They're just my thoughts on it. I don't have any credential to it. I didn't do like some deep study. I just read it. I been in a church denomination that says, just read it. Like, you just read it. You don't need special training. You don't need any of this. Vanham says, how do you fucking know, you hypocrite? Because you are the perfect example. And it's by your words, man. I don't sit and judge you. I don't give a shit at all. I don't know what you do. I don't want to know what you do. Deal with it on your own. But in this stream, man, you have been so quick to just rail on me about things you think are going on. It's embarrassing. I use the Bible for my own agenda. No, I don't justify anything in my life with the Bible. Not a single thing. But keep telling me what I do. It's fine. Keep definitely not proving out that judgment thing or the haughtiness thing that you've been doing. The key is definitely not. All of us are the one. We're all the one, man. Of course. The Bible's whole message is really simple. It's you need help, but guess what? The help was done. The work's done. It was done for you. There's hope. Like, it could have been really bad. You got this good stuff. They call it the good news for a reason. You got this good stuff. You're going to fail. You're going to screw up all over the place. Tons and tons of times. You're going to be okay. You just did it, you massive hypocrite. I didn't. You really want me to, but I didn't, buddy. I haven't justified anything. You don't even know what I'm talking about. You have your own perspective on like what I'm doing or whatever, and you've decided that it's bad. Cool. Go for it. You're the one sitting in judgment. I'm not. I don't care what you do. Ever. Go live. But with that, guys, I just wanted to share that little reading with you. And sorry for the one retarded kid in the back who really wanted attention that I got to talk to. But like it's amazing because he's sitting there. And it's the perfect demonstration of the fucking parable. Jesus sits down. He's like, I'm going to talk to some people. One guy's like, no, he's the bad ones. Calm down. Settle down, Tim. Settle down. And you just can't. I really enjoy going to church. And I like the church that we've been going to lately a lot. But it's always limited. They're always limited because churches have typically an avenue this broad, and they've got their range of interpretation has to be within this avenue. It's got to stick in that lane. Otherwise, people won't listen because they don't like being challenged on their faith. They don't like being challenged about God and having their ideas be radically different. If you need evidence of that, just look at the Jews when Jesus shows up. Like, they can't deal with it. But see, like, they can't challenge too far outside of what they've got. That's on you, though. That's on you. You have the authority. Go out and read the fucking book. Pick it up. See what you learn from it. Soren says, if Nick is saying read the Bible, y'all go ahead, I'll pass. Perfect. Van Dam, what about marriage? Oh, you probably don't want to read the Bible about marriage. Probably not your... I don't think it's going to fit into your idea of what a biblical marriage is if you actually read up on it. Do they like their ideas of marriage being challenged? The Jews? I bet moving towards monogamy was not very popular. Vandam, are you divorced? Remarried? How about your parents? They divorced and remarried? Anything like that? Careful. You sit in judgment and someone will just read the Bible to you. You gotta calm down there, homie. That's the Bible story study for today. La la la, I'm raging. I know, I can tell. It's cool. A raging faggot? I'm just kidding. I love you. You're the prodigal son who's come back to me, the cult leader. I'm the Jesus or whatever. You don't fuck with the Jesus.